Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English&Inspire.
I'm Ava.
And I'm Leo.
Today's topic.
30 Days English Speaking Challenge, Day 10, English Conversation at a Hotel.
So usually when you start dreaming about a vacation, your mind just, skips right to the fun parts.
Oh, totally. You picture the sightseeing, the incredible local food.
Right, or just relaxing by a pool without a care in the world.
Exactly. But before you get to actually experience any of that, there's this invisible hurdle you have to clear.
Yeah, you walk through those heavy glass lobby doors, approach a highly polished counter, and slide over a piece of plastic.
And suddenly you are engaging in this incredibly structured, highly choreographed exchange. You're trading information, you're establishing expectations, and frankly, you're setting boundaries.
It's a transaction, but it feels, almost diplomatic. We like to think of a hotel stay as an escape from reality.
Right.
But to unlock that escape, you have to navigate a very real, very specific administrative process.
And for anyone listening who's learning English or just looking to communicate more effectively while traveling, mastering the specific vocabulary is essential.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the mission of our deep dive today.
Mm-hmm.
We are unpacking a massive stack of sources. Everything from ESL language guides and YouTube hospitality role plays to actual hotel staff training scripts.
Yeah, we are decoding the language of hospitality today because we're going to look at how these specific English words and phrases aren't just polite filler.
No, they really aren't.
There are the actual conversational tools that build and sometimes completely save your entire travel experience.
Which is a vital distinction for you listening. This isn't about memorizing flashcards or repeating robotic phrases.
It's definitely not.
It's about understanding the underlying mechanics of a hotel stay, whether you are the weary guest standing in the lobby or the staff member working behind the desk.
Right. Understanding how and why we use these conversational tools is the key to a seamless, stress-free experience.
We are really learning the language of mutual expectations.
So let's unpack this from the very beginning, because long before you even set foot on the property, there is the vocabulary of anticipation.
Yeah, the planning phase.
Right. Our sources highlight 3 core terms that set the entire stage: itinerary, reservation, and currency.
Okay, so the itinerary is your grand plan, right? The sweeping schedule of your trip.
Exactly. And the currency is the financial medium you'll use to pay for it all. But the reservation, that is the anchor.
A reservation is essentially a legally binding promise. And what's fascinating here is how that promise is negotiated linguistically.
Yeah, let's look at the dialogue from our lingua.com source. There is a great example involving a guest named Mr. Abrams.
Oh, the Washington, D.C. trip.
Yes. He calls to book a weekend at Capitol Hotels, and he doesn't just call up and say, give me a room.
No, he is incredibly specific, which is the whole point of making that phone call. He tells the receptionist he needs a single bed because it's just him and his wife.
Right, and he goes out of his way to explicitly state he does not need a balcony.
Which is interesting, right? Like, he's setting a negative boundary.
But then he pivots and makes absolutely sure to confirm his access to the pool and the exercise room.
By using highly specific nouns and clear requests, he is establishing the strict parameters of his comfort.
And pay attention to the response from the hotel receptionist in that dialogue, too. The receptionist confirms all of his requests, but then immediately establishes the hotel's boundaries.
Right, the check-in and check-out times.
Exactly. They confirm the check-in time, which is strictly after 3:00 p.m., and the checkout time, which is before noon on Sunday.
By establishing these hard parameters up front, both parties avoid friction later. Like if Mr. Abrams shows up at 1:00 p.m. on Friday and his room isn't ready, there's no conflict.
Because the expectation was already managed during that initial phone call, I always compare a hotel reservation to a prenuptial agreement for a vacation.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. You're sitting down before any of the fun begins, and you are hashing out a contract of expectations. You agree on the terms of comfort, the access to amenities, and the timeline.
And the wildest part of this contract, you often don't even have to pay for it right away.
That's so true.
In the lingua scenario, the receptionist tells Mr. Abrams he can handle the payment upon his arrival on Friday.
Which, deferring that payment is a brilliant linguistic and psychological tool for building trust.
It really is. By stating, you can pay upon arrival, the hotel deliberately shifts the dynamic. It goes from a purely financial transaction to one of hospitality.
Yeah, the subtext of that phrasing basically says, we trust you to arrive and we want you to feel welcome in our space before we ask for your money.
Exactly. It softens the corporate edge of the interaction.
But what happens when that perfect, sterile phone call meets the chaotic reality of travel?
Oh, the arrival anxiety.
Let's talk about it, because
Okay.
travel rarely goes exactly according to the itinerary.
That transition from transit to arrival is often the most stressful part of a journey. You are displaced, usually exhausted, and in an unfamiliar city.
And our source from Fluent English Practice gives us this agonizingly relatable scenario. We followed two travelers, Anna and Sam.
Right, they're on a train.
They are on a train, they are exhausted, and the train is 2 hours late. It is approaching midnight. You can just feel Anna starting to spiral in this scenario.
Ah, would be too.
She is terrified the front desk will be closed or that they are going to get hit with some massive late fee just because a train was delayed.
That primal fear of losing your shelter for the night is intense. But Anna utilizes her language skills proactively.
Right.
Instead of just sitting on the train worrying, she calls the hotel. She gets a hold of a front desk agent named Ethan, and Ethan immediately uses language to de-escalate her panic.
He tells them there is no late fee as long as they arrive before morning, and he assures them the desk is open 24 hours.
And when they finally arrive in the middle of the night, he smoothly checks them into room 506 on the 4th floor.
Ethan's language during that late-night check-in is a perfect example of standard operating procedure. He uses classic anchor phrases.
Like, may I see your ID, please?
Exactly. Could you please fill out this registration form? And we accept all major credit cards.
Those phrases are designed specifically to be predictable.
Yeah, predictability is key there.
When a guest is exhausted and operating on high anxiety, predictable language is deeply comforting. Hearing those standard questions signals that the hotel systems are working normally, despite the late hour.
It grounds the traveler. But I have to push back a little here, though, or at least play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, go for it.
Anna was incredibly lucky she was dealing with a large hotel that actually had a 247 front desk. One of our sources mentions that small boutique hotels or bed and breakfasts often close their desks at night.
That's true, they do.
They might just leave a key code or an envelope. So if a guest is stuck in transit, maybe their phone is dying and they haven't received that code, how does a traveler navigate the sheer panic of that linguistic gap? I mean, you can't negotiate with a plastic keypad.
No, you definitely can't. And that highlights the absolute necessity of proactive communication, which Anna demonstrated.
Right.
If you know you are running late, calling from the road is your most powerful tool. By making that phone call, you're transitioning the hotel staff from being passive administrators of a building into active problem solvers for your specific situation.
You bring them into your logistical loop.
Exactly. If this had been a small hotel, that phone call is precisely when Ethan would have said, "Don't worry, the front desk closes at 10 p.m., but here is the 4-digit code for the side door, and your key will be in an envelope."
You have to force the human connection to bridge that physical gap. And speaking of physical spaces, getting the room key is really only half the battle. Now you actually have to find your room.
Oh, this brings up a massive linguistic trap detailed in the Speak Languages source.
The great transatlantic floor divide.
Yes, it is a classic source of confusion for English learners and native speakers alike.
It is wild. So in the United States, when you walk into a hotel from the street, you are standing on the first floor.
Right.
The floor above you is the second floor. Very straightforward. But in the UK, that street level is called the ground floor.
Yep.
And the floor directly above it, what Americans call the second floor, is the first floor.
It's so confusing.
I can just picture a tired traveler dragging their suitcase out of an elevator on completely the wrong floor at 1:00 a.m., all because of a subtle vocabulary difference.
It perfectly illustrates how language isn't just a collection of words. It dictates spatial navigation. Misunderstanding a term like first floor literally puts you in the wrong physical dimension of the building.
Which is terrifying when you just want to go to sleep.
Exactly. That is why hotel staff are trained to use highly precise directive English. They won't just hand you a key. They will say, "Your room is on the second floor. Take the elevator to your left. It will be down the hall on the right."
They try to eliminate the guesswork.
Right.
So you've survived the delayed train, you've navigated the cultural floor differences, and you finally unlock the door. The moment you step into the room, the language of the hotel stay shifts completely.
We go from the vocabulary of securing access to the vocabulary of optimizing comfort.
This is a critical transition in ESL learning. We encounter terms like concierge, bellhop, valet parking, and amenities.
And for a learner, it's vital to understand the mechanics behind these nouns because they represent entirely different branches of the hotel's ecosystem that you can utilize.
Let's break those down because they can definitely sound like jargon if you aren't familiar with them.
Absolutely. Take bellhop, for instance.
Mm,
Historically, a bell would ring at the front desk and the worker would hop to attention.
that's such a fun visual.
Right. Today, it specifically refers to the staff who assists with your luggage, bringing it to your room so you don't have to struggle with it.
And valet is specific to parking. You hand over your keys and they manage your vehicle.
Yes. Then you have the concierge, which used to mean the keeper of the keys in a castle.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. But in a modern hotel, this is your ultimate local fixer. They book theater tickets, get you restaurant reservations, and give you localized advice.
And then there are amenities, which I always think of as the tangible perks. The tiny bottles of shampoo, the fluffy robes, the high-speed Wi-Fi, the swimming pool.
Basically, the tools that transform a bare room into a comfortable living space.
Exactly. And another great phrase to know is turn down service.
Oh, that's a good one. This is a premium amenity where housekeeping enters your room in the evening, literally turns down the bed sheets, maybe leaves a chocolate on the pillow, and prepares the room for sleep.
I love how our source from Tangerine Academy illustrates a guest actively using this ecosystem. It's like playing a real-life video game where you have to know the exact dialogue options to...
To unlock the best perks.
Oh! Yes. The guest in this specific scenario is booking an $80 a night single room. But they don't just passively accept whatever room they are handed, they use their language tools to shape the environment.
Which is brilliant.
They specifically request a room far from the elevator and far from the street to ensure maximum quietness. Then they program their morning by setting up a 6 a.m. wake-up call and requesting a taxi be waiting at 6:30 a.m.
They are actively programming their future experience.
Yeah.
And the hotel staff have their own set of programming phrases, which we see in the Learning English PRO source.
Right.
Staff use phrases like, would you like turn down service? I'll restock your toiletries, or your food will be delivered in 30 minutes. Notice how these are all clear commitments to action.
And sometimes those actions require some serious creative problem solving. Let's go back to Anna and Sam for a minute.
Okay, the late arrivals.
Yeah, they have a massive logistical problem. Because of their itinerary, they have to leave for the airport at 5:30 in the morning. But the hotel dining room doesn't start serving the complimentary breakfast they paid for until 6:30 a.m.
That is so frustrating when that happens.
Right. Most travelers would just grumble, skip the breakfast, and leave hungry and annoyed.
But Anna and Sam communicated their schedule to Ethan at the front desk, and that conversation unlocked a workaround.
Ethan arranges 2 takeaway breakfast bags, just some bread, fresh fruit, juice, and bottled water, and promises to leave them at the front desk for Anna and Sam to grab on their way out to the taxi.
Unlocking the takeaway breakfast bag.
That is an elite-level hotel hack, and it only happens because they engaged in dialogue.
The underlying mechanism that enables that hack is fascinating. It often comes down to a single, powerful phrase used by the staff. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Such a common phrase.
But in hospitality, that phrase is a golden key. It is deliberately open-ended. Linguistically, it shifts the burden of anticipating needs from the guest to the hotel staff.
It gives the guest the social permission to ask for something unconventional, like a breakfast bag at 5:30 in the morning. But we all know that no matter how many golden keys you have, or how perfectly you engineered a quiet room away from the elevator, things can still go completely sideways.
Oh, definitely.
The air conditioning breaks, the neighbors decide to throw a loud party at 2 a.m. When the sanctuary you built with your key words suddenly turns into a nightmare, how do you handle it?
This brings us to the art of the complaint. And this is where language strategy becomes critical. Complaining in a second language is incredibly stressful.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You have to balance advocating for your own comfort while not alienating the very person who has the power to fix your problem.
The Master Everyday English source breaks this down brilliantly. They give us 2 different scenarios featuring a guest named Mr. Smith, and it acts as a masterclass in polite complaining versus strong complaining.
So in the first scenario, Mr. Smith discovers his room has a broken coffee machine and no hand towels.
These are annoyances, but they aren't emergencies. So he uses what the source calls softening introductory phrases.
The phrases like, I hate to complain, but, or I'm sorry, but I just noticed.
I hate to complain, but the coffee machine isn't working. The hotel immediately apologizes, promises to send maintenance, and rushes up some fresh towels. The friction is resolved smoothly.
But in the second scenario,
Yeah, the second scenario. Mr. Smith walks into his room, and it is an absolute disaster. We're talking dirty linens, hair in the bathtub, a broken fridge.
the fundamental contract of the hotel stay has been broken at that point.
Yes, and consequently, his language fundamentally changes to match the severity of the situation. He drops the softeners entirely.
He uses strong, direct language.
We need someone to change the linens immediately. And when the scope of the mess becomes clear, he brings out the heavy artillery. This is completely unacceptable.
That specific phrase, completely unacceptable, triggers an escalation. He asks for the manager.
The front desk staff, realizing the severity of the breach, immediately deploy powerful de-escalation phrases.
They say, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience," and most importantly, "How can we make this right for you?"
Ultimately, the hotel moves him to an upgraded ocean view room with a balcony, and they throw in food and drink vouchers as a formal apology.
That's a great outcome.
It is, but I have to ask, though, isn't it risky to use sledgehammer language like, this is completely unacceptable? Doesn't that risk putting the staff member on the defensive?
That's a very valid concern.
I mean, if you march down there and use aggressive words, doesn't that make them want to help you less?
It's precisely why ESL training outlines a linguistic tiered system for complaints. You never start with the sledgehammer. You start with polite phrasing and softeners for easily fixable oversights.
Okay, that makes sense.
Why do English speakers do this? Because polite softeners preserve the dignity of the staff member. It allows them to fix a minor mistake without losing face.
But when there's a disaster,
You only escalate to that strong, definitive language when there is a fundamental breach of the hospitality contract. Finding duty sheets or bed bugs isn't an oversight. It's a failure of the product. When you say this is unacceptable, you aren't throwing a tantrum. Linguistically, you are legally and transactionally stating that the product provided does not match the product purchased. It forces the hotel to initiate their high-level service recovery protocols.
so you are basically signaling a code red. You are pulling the emergency brake on the transaction so they can reset it, which is why Mr. Smith walked away with an ocean view upgrade.
And trained staff recognize that linguistic signal. They are taught to respond with solutions and upgrades, rather than taking the word unacceptable as a personal insult.
Which brings us to the final act of this whole production. The stay is over, the coffee machines are fixed, the breakfast bags are packed. It is time to settle the score.
We are transitioning to the departure, the checkout, and the financials.
The bookend to the reservation, the moment the initial contract is finally concluded.
Nowadays, a lot of hotels heavily push express checkout.
Yeah, this is where you just leave your plastic key cards on the desk in your room, walk out the front door to your taxi, and the hotel emails you the final bill later that day.
It is incredibly fast, it's frictionless.
But I always think of it like sneaking out the back door of a great party. It's easy, you avoid the long, drawn-out goodbyes, but you might accidentally leave your favorite jacket behind, and you won't realize it until you're halfway home.
That analogy perfectly captures the risk. The sheer convenience of express checkout completely removes the human verification step. And in the hospitality industry, bypassing human verification can be surprisingly costly.
This is why the end of Anna and Sam's story is so crucial. Despite waking up at 5 a.m., practically sleepwalking, they actively choose to go down to the front desk for a traditional face-to-face checkout.
They want to verify their bill before they leave the building,
And thank goodness they did.
because the automated system had made a significant error.
A huge error. The morning staff prints the physical bill for room 508, and the paper shows a charge for a two-night stay.
But remember, Anna and Sam changed their itinerary. They're leaving early after just one night.
Because they were standing right there at the desk, looking at the piece of paper, they caught it immediately, they point it out, and the staff member says, "Okay, this is an early checkout, I will fix it."
The staff manually corrects the bill to $140 for the single night, runs the credit card, and then hands over those promised breakfast bags.
The lesson here is that taking the time to review the invoice in person is a critical habit. Errors in hospitality billing are remarkably common, but they are almost never born out of malice or theft.
No, they are born out of system automation. Anna originally booked 2 nights. The hotel's computer system automatically held that parameter, completely overriding the physical reality that she was checking out early.
It required a nuanced human conversation to correct the automated error.
Exactly. The final English phrases of the stay are usually very simple. May I have your room key, please? Would you like a receipt for your stay? And have a safe journey.
But that brief interaction is the ultimate safety net for your wallet.
It acts as the final verification that the expectations you so carefully negotiated during the reservation were actually met in reality.
Let's bring all of this together. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. From the moment Mr. Abrams laid out his strict boundaries regarding balconies and pool access on the phone, to Anna and Sam navigating a dark lobby to secure their early morning breakfast bags, to Mr. Smith utilizing a tiered linguistic system of complaints to secure an ocean view upgrade.
What this stack of sources reveals is that mastering these specific conversational tools puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your travel experience.
You aren't just crossing your fingers and hoping for a good stay. You are actively constructing it through dialogue.
It demonstrates that language knowledge is most valuable when it's practically applied. These English phrases are the literal tools that build your temporary home away from home.
But looking at all of this material and seeing how heavily it relies on talking to a real person at a front desk, it really makes me wonder about the future of travel.
How so?
Well, everywhere you look, hotels are pushing us toward automated solutions. We use apps for booking, our phones are becoming digital room keys, and AI chatbots are handling room service requests. The entire industry seems desperate to remove the friction of human interaction. Are these conversational tools even going to matter in 5 or 10 years?
That is the ultimate question facing the industry right now. The push for automation is undeniable. But as we've seen in every single one of our sources, it's the human interaction. Ethan creatively setting aside a breakfast bag, the morning staff manually overriding a billing error, the manager empathetically offering an upgrade after a disaster that actually saves the day.
That's a great point.
So as apps and automation take over the basics of shelter, will the ability to have a nuanced face-to-face conversation in English with a knowledgeable human concierge soon become the ultimate priceless luxury amenity?
Wow. That is a fascinating thought to leave on. The ultimate luxury isn't the thread count on the sheets or the size of the TV. It's a human being looking you in the eye and asking, how can we make this right for you? It takes us right back to the beginning. That prenuptial agreement for your vacation isn't really with the building, it's with the people running it.
Perfectly said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you take these phrases, practice the mechanics behind them, and use them to command the room on your next grand adventure.
Safe travels, everyone.